Good evening. Welcome to the top six. We've all seen Shearer, Wrighty, Lineker, and all them do their top tens. Well, we're doing the ultimate top six because this top six is the top six teams in the Vanarama South that can possibly get their hands on the league title on Saturday afternoon. Just going to go around and introduce ourselves. So starting with you, Scott.
Yeah, hi chaps. I'm Scott, Truro City fan. I am associated with Tinner's Talk, which is a Facebook group for Truro City. We are potentially going to move into the YouTube world, depending on a couple of little bits and pieces. We might just blow it off if Saturday goes all wrong and take up cricket or golf, though. So watch this space on that.
And yourself, Thomas?
Yeah, evening all. So I'm Tom. I'm one of many contributors from Talkie Talk, also a part of the Goals I View podcast, which we have on Spotify and YouTube. An award-winning podcast, I must say. Bronze, but it's still an award. And we just do a lot of stuff from a Talkie United perspective from the fans on all social media. We have our own website. And just looking to continue to grow and grow.
Good stuff. And obviously, I'm Barry Carpenter. I'm from the Down the Lane podcast. You can find us on all the socials, etc. Yako?
I'm Yako. I'm a Worthing supporter, and I'm part of the Rebel Yell podcast, which is brought to everybody in association with the Sports Association from Worthing. So we got not a tie to the club, so we can be a bit more frank in what we say and don't say in the podcast, which is always quite good.
Yeah. Brett?
Hello, I'm Brett Lewis. I sort of do a number of different things at Bournemouth. First and foremost, I'm a supporter for many years. I also sort of do the match reports for the club and for the non-league paper. I run a Facebook group for supporters, and I organise the away travel for supporters.
And James.
I'm James. We do have a podcast at Talking, but we haven't done it at all this season because we've been too busy. Talking Wanderers, which we do have episodes on YouTube mainly from the two seasons when we're in the National League, but I do the pre and post match interviews with Mark White as well. But like Brett, really, I'm a fan of Dorking Wanderers first and foremost, and a former player, and then everything else comes secondary, really.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll just head off straight into the questions now. What league position are you going to finish Saturday in? And if it's not first, who is going to win the league? And we goes to Scott, obviously, first with that.
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's why we're all here. For me, as I was saying just a minute ago, the big unknown is, are Hemel going to turn up against Torquay? Because my nightmare scenario is that we get past St Albans and then Hemel on the beach and Torquay run in 5, 6, 7 and deny us the league. I think it is probably between us and Torquay. I'd be very surprised if we both don't win. I think it's a mind game, this whole title race, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, St Albans, they've got something to play for. You're kind of worried that they're going to turn up with the 11 supermen and come down to Cornwall and give us a good hide in. But then you've got to remind yourself, they're in the relegation zone for a reason. So, but it's first or bust. I keep going back and forward. Got to back your team though. When it's one game, right? One-off game. We're gonna come top. We're gonna do
it. Thomas.
Oh, it's head versus heart, isn't it? I mean, going to Hemel on the last day, backed by 2,000 Torquay fans who are making the journey up. I mean, we've almost sold out the allocation already, which is fantastic going, considering where we were a year ago as a football club in administration, surviving the drop. And the whole club is just completely turned around. I do think we're going to win at Hemel. I do think we are going to score goals, but I can't see a scenario where Truro don't beat St Albans. And we haven't really been thrashing teams. I think the most we scored away from home all season was at Enfield, where we scored 4. But we're not really a team designed to romp games. So I'd like to think we can be top of the table. It won't put it past us at all, but deep down at the moment, I think it's Truro's to lose. So I think we'll win, but I think at the moment we'll be second.
Yeah, I think I agree with you actually, Tom. I think Truro will win it. I think you'll win as well and take second, and I think we will win and we'll stay third. And I can actually see not a lot of change for once. For 1 week, I can actually see not a lot of change at the top this week. I think that the last game everyone's going to be up for it. I do think that, like I say, head versus heart again. Obviously, my head is saying that, my heart is saying that you two are going to lose and we're going to win the league. But I've maintained for weeks, and I still say it, that the team that wins the league deserves to win it because they will be top of the league in a crazy season. But for me, the team that wins the league will win it by default because the other 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 teams have not wanted to win it. And we've all had chances. There could be many more on this podcast tonight. But yeah, I think Truro win it. I think they were, like I say, I don't think there'll be a lot of change in the top 6. Yako?
My heart says everybody above us is going to draw and we're going to beat Enfield, so we win the league. But then I wake up and I think I have to agree. I think it's Truro's to lose. They need to win it, and ideally, in an ideal world, I would either come second or third. That will stop the eliminator. But fourth will do me as well. At least we've got the first game at home then. It will be tough because we've got a bit of a depleted squad at the minute due injuries, suspensions, etc. But I think we finish fourth. If we win it, then I'll put a quid on the lottery.
Well, you won't get a ticket now because it's £2.
I'll £2 then.
I'll go arms with you. And Brett next.
Yeah, I think Truro win it. Not just because they're top now, but I'm just thinking in terms of there's a goal difference element to it, which obviously they're both the same points, 2 goals in it. I think Truro will beat the St Albans by more than the Torquay will beat Hemel. I think it will be an easier game. I know St Albans got something to play for, but I don't think they're particularly good. Truro at home, Hemel at home as well. So I just think that it's going to be Truro's. But who knows in this crazy season? Who knows? As far as we're Bournemouth going to finish, we're now 5th. I actually expect us to finish 4th because I don't expect all top 4 teams to win, and I think we should win. Obviously, everyone should win, but I think we're going to finish 4th. And if one of them doesn't win, it's like 3rd or 4th don't win, then we come 3rd or 4th. So I expect us to finish 4th.
Okay, and James?
Yeah, so I think Truro will be the league winners come 5 o'clock on Saturday. I think, like you said, Barry, you don't win leagues over the course of 46 games by luck. You win that by being the best team. You can get quite far in cup competitions with a bit of luck, but that doesn't happen in the league, really. I think that for us, so I don't think that any of our teams are going to lose on Saturday, but I think a couple of them might draw, and that would be helpful for us to get up to potentially 4th, 3rd or 4th. I'd like to think that we might be able to overhaul some of the goal differences, perhaps even the one on Boreham Wood, because, like I said to you before, we beat Chesham 5-0 at their place, and defensively they were pretty poor, although they've improved recently. But I think I could see us winning 3 or 4-0 on Saturday, and boosting that even further. So who knows? But it's all guesswork, isn't it, really? We're sitting 6th at the moment, and we could end up winning the league. This season's going to have another final twist to it. You don't know. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I think Truro are going to win it, and I think we might haul down some of the others with goal difference.
Yeah. And what you said there at the end, that you finish in 6th and you can win the league, it could be possible that the top 5 don't actually go up. You could win the league, Maidstone could win the playoffs, and the 5 teams in the top of the league this year might not even go up. Might not be facing each other next year, which is a crazy thought, really. So, Right, so
Well, it's been a crazy season, isn't it? Let's face it, it's been a crazy season. So I wouldn't put it past us to sort of blow it on Saturday.
It's just so right now, Scott, what has been your highlight of the season so far? I was going to say lowlights as well, but the other five of us would all say not staying at the top when we've had our chance. So yeah, what's been your highlight of the season this year?
Oh, without a doubt, opening day of the season, coming home to Cornwall for the first time in 3-4 years. No more ridiculous travel to Torquay, to Taunton, to Gloucester, to Plymouth Parkway. To have a stadium to call your home. Obviously, we had a really exciting opponent on the first day as well. Dorking obviously came down from the division above, so that was kind of a bit of an introduction to the standard at the top of the division, and they played really well in a 2-1 win. And obviously that was the famous game that was played with inside-out shirts. And to be honest, that was probably the most normal thing that's happened to Truro this season. Because, the other 44 game weeks have just been absolutely unbelievable.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Tom?
Well, I don't know if this counts, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's when the keys to the football club were handed to our new owners, the Bryn Consortium. It's just been, like I said previously, it's just been a complete roller coaster at Torquay United, surviving at Taunton, second to last game, and then going into a summer still in administration. Not sure about, we've had people coming in, potentially taking over, rumours swirling, and then news came to light that the Bryn Consortium, named after the police dog that Jim McNichol player, I think it was in '87 against Crewe, and in the injury time that was given, we equalised against Crewe Alexandra and stayed in the Football League. And the Bryn Consortium, all Torquay fans, have all put their money where their mouth is, and I tell you what, they have been a complete breath of fresh air. We started with one contracted player. We've had a whole new squad brought in. The revenue streams from shirt sales and merchandise has gone through the roof. We've had record season ticket sales, and we're having the highest attendances we've had in years. So it's just been a complete refresh, and it's just great to see a local community be invested in their football club once again. I mean, if you go back on our podcast from last season, there's a good timeline. We did a end of year episode where it starts from January of 2024 all the way to the end of 2024, and the first half is just us moaning about the ownership and calling them out for their failings. And people will say, well, Torquay, big club, yeah, you think they should be up there, but actually when you dig a bit deeper, where we were at our lowest ebb to now, and to be in a title race, second on goal difference, I think the Torquay fans would have taken that absolutely before a ball was kicked. And for me, I've said playoffs was the remit for me. If we finish in the top 7, then that's success for me, whatever happens in the playoffs. So just to be in this scenario is fantastic. And I think the opening day as well against Enfield at home was just brought to life that there's life in the old girl yet, and Torquay United's alive and kicking and will be for generations to come. And I'll say it now again, I've said it a million times before to them, but to the Bryn Consortium, thank you very much for saving my football club and for bringing pride back to the shirt, because it's been long overdue. And fingers crossed, our best moments still to come on Saturday.
Yeah, no, that's great. And
yeah, I'm welling up here, Tom. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got me going. Yeah. But
where were you last night?
I'll go grab me tissues in a minute.
The thing is, though, when you look at all of us, every one of the teams that we're sitting here representing today has got a backstory, right? We could have been relegated last year. You could, Tom. Scott, you were homeless. I mean, at the end of the day, when we came down to play you at Gloucester, it was closer for us to get there than it was you to get there. It was like, and for you to go through that and go home and also get the crowds you've been getting as well, it is amazing for you. And James and Brett, you came down, and Jacko, you was up there in the playoff final, so we've all got a backstory for last year. And Torquay beating Taunton was, I think, what saved us. That was the game that saved us, and then we could go to Braintree on the final game of the season and beat them 3-2. I mean, what's that all about? And they're the team that go up. But for me, my highlight of the season this year is not actually it's not actually been any of the games or whatever else. There's so many things I could mention. Adam Murray coming in, but that was obviously last year. But the signing of the players, we've had loads of highlights this season. But the biggest one for me was Braden Johnson signing for Middlesbrough. He is a very special football player, and he will play for England. There's no doubt about that. I remember the first time we saw him play. He was number 25, and he was down as a trialist in a pre-season game. And Adam was walking around the ground, and there was 3 of us stood there. And one of the guys stood with me. He said, "Oh, I like him, Adam." He went, "Who?" He went, 25 in the middle there, the black guy. He went, "He's something else." And he went, "What's his name?" And Adam looked at him and he went, "Number 25," because he hadn't signed him up yet. And it was like, he knew he was his little gem, and he would probably be my player of the season this year. We went away to Tunbridge back just not long before he left, actually, not long before he got signed by Middlesbrough. And something happened. We were down the other end. We were behind the goal the other end, and something happened, and he either got hit or got, something happened with her. And the player got sent off. The Tunbridge player got sent off. But you knew how special the team thought of him then, because I've never seen 10 players run against a player that hit him or that fouled him. And they were all, even your centre forward was running back to the penalty area, to try and protect Braden. And they knew he was a special talent. We knew he was. And that's my highlight of the season. He's on loan at Gateshead now. He played all the under 23 games in the Premier League A or whatever it is that they play in. And yeah, look out for the boy, because he definitely will play for England at some point, and we'll all be cheering him on. So, Jaco.
There's a few little highlights. On the first day of the season, go to Western 3-0 down at half time and walk away with a 4-3 win. That was a good start of the season. But I think the biggest win for me is actually where we are as a club, because everybody knows Adam left with 8 games to go. Adam Hinshelwood went to York. Then over the summer, Ollie Pearce went. There's 40+ goals is going. Joe Felix went, and then we got a new manager, and there were some signings made who didn't really work out. And then Aggie brought some more players than he wanted to bring in. And, I think we've done all right. And, yeah, the highlight would have been winning the league. We could have won it, over the Easter weekend. We didn't. But I think from where we were beginning of the season, where we are now, and considering we're only a part-time club, the boys train twice a week if they're not playing on a Tuesday night. So I think we've done all right. And like Aggie keeps saying, can you imagine if we're a full-time team or even a hybrid version, what could have happened? So, but for me, the highlight is, where we started and where we finished in this season. I think we've done all right.
Brett?
Yeah, I think from our point of view, obviously going down last season was unexpected. I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen. We sort of seemed to, if anything, sleepwalk into relegation. Obviously, having gone down, we had to sort of change things. We had a new manager. Our old manager of 9 years left. We had a new one come in. 8 games later, he's replaced by the old one of 9 years. Luke Gower coming back to the club in mid-September. And I think our form since then has been very good. So we managed to keep quite a lot of sort of National League quality players that we had last year. We took us down, but and I think as well as that, in terms of our form, we had a very good run between sort of November and February. We won 12 out of 14 games. We dropped it, and at that point looked sort of nailed on for the title. But then, of course, we lost a couple of games, obviously including against Worthing on a Tuesday night, which was a bit of a killer. Then I suppose a good thing sort of since then, the last few weeks, sort of 4 games ago, again, sort of we were dead and buried. It looked like we were just about that we probably weren't even going to scrape in the playoffs. But we've had a change of formation and we've won 4 games in a row, and quite convincingly as well. So we certainly go into this playoff campaign in very good form. So hopefully that'll bode well.
And yourself, James?
I think for me, like the highlights really, obviously there's been standout results and good away wins and things like that. And, against 2 of the sides that are on here, down at True on the first day and away at Boreham Wood, because they're not easy places to go. But for me, I think, like I said last night, it's kind of been the away attendances have been really good. So the away fans that we're now taking to games has really gone up, which is a massive boost to the players and the club. And all the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes, really, because we're only 25, 26 years old, our club, and we don't own the ground. We're in the process of trying to buy that. We need to sort the pitch out. We've got a CEO now who's doing a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot going on that's kind of not just the football side. It's all those kind of infrastructure things that we need to get right off the pitch to sort things out. I'm going to have to go and shout at my dog in a sec. But yeah, they've been the highlights really for me, Barry. Yeah, as well as the results. But as a fan and somebody who's kind of invested in it, I look more beyond just what happens on a Saturday or what happens on a Tuesday to all the other things that go on. And that's why things like what Thomas has said and things like Scott has said and those kind of backstories really. And the same with Yakko and us. We're not that old, our clubs. A few years ago we were kicking around in the Isthmian leagues and stuff like that. And we've had those 2 seasons in the National League. And as I said to you before, that is a ridiculous league. And it certainly was when we were in it because of the quality of those teams that have subsequently gone on into the Football League now. But yeah, so it's always about like just having that kind of glance over your shoulder at where you were and what's going on really. And we weren't ready for that National League. We were nowhere near ready. And we're probably only 60-70% ready again if it happened again.
So moving on to the next one, the next question is who do you want to play and who do you want to avoid if you are in the playoffs?
I can't even consider it. If we drop down into the playoffs, then
Confidence.
I'm turning off this reality and rebooting it to Saturday morning, and we'll play the games again. The problem that I've got is I'm looking at the teams that are in the playoffs, and it's true to say that we haven't actually been particularly spectacular against the top teams this year. I think we've only got a winning record against Worthing. I also think that knowing that it's in our hands on the last day and you drop into the playoffs, I think that's going to be really difficult to come back from. If it goes to playoffs, then I would say that it probably favours teams like Maidstone and Boreham and Dorking. I think for maybe the smaller clubs, I think it might be a little bit more difficult to get past. I think it feels to me as if our best chance is Saturday. I think we'll struggle if we get to the playoffs.
Okay, and Tom?
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? It all depends on whether we get if we do end up in the playoffs, whether we play home or away, because our record against, apart from Maidstone, is pretty decent against you guys. I don't think we've lost home or away to you guys, but Maidstone have always been our sort of bogey team. So in a way, I'm kind of to jump ahead a little bit, but I hope we kind of don't have to play Maidstone because it just seems to be we just can't seem to beat them, especially away. We've never beaten them away, but I have to say, if we are at home, I think Eastbourne, only on the basis that I was at both Eastbourne games, and I think if it was if we had to go to Eastbourne, I think that's a completely different thing in itself. But I back us against anyone at home. But there was just something about Eastbourne. I mean, the games we play, they're not classics by any stretch. I think it's fair to say in all the games that we've played against the top 6, it's been quite boring games to a respect. But I think Paul Watton is, got us defensively really, really good. And I think personally, I would like Eastbourne at home if I had the choice. But again, I don't. If we do end up in the playoffs and we're at home, then I don't fear anyone, to be fair.
Okay, well,
Sorry, Barry.
That's all right. I hope we don't get you, and that's simply because when you look at who has gained the most points against the top teams from all of us, it's you're clear by, I think it's 4 or 5 points. Is
that worth an extra point on itself?
No. Nice try.
You wish.
Yeah. but it's you can give some of them back if you want. I mean, we don't mind that. But yeah, no. So I would want to avoid you. I want to avoid Torquay. I want to avoid Truro if it was a Tuesday night, because Tuesday or Wednesday night, because it's a long enough trip anyway. Certainly not one that I fancy on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I think I'd like to play Maidstone. I think we beat them at home in the league, and Maidstone can only finish 7th, so they can only play away. So if we dropped to 4th, and that to me, having Maidstone at home wouldn't be a bad thing. Dorking, I think I wouldn't mind taking you on, and to be fair, even you, Yako, I don't think that. I mean, we've played out 2 draws against you, but we are still unbeaten at home, and that's it's a great record when you consider. I know we've drawn a few, but we've had 22 teams now come to our place this year trying to take points off of us, trying to beat us, and no one's beat us yet. We've got Western on. We've got Western on Saturday, who obviously they can't make the playoffs now unless they get a 16-goal swing. And let's be fair, they know they're not going to get that, so they're probably going to be on the beach, or if not, they're going to attack, and we're just going to take them apart on the counter, because we do play a high pressing game, and someone's gone, but he'll be back. So we do play a high pressing game. So I'd hope that we. Sorry, I'm just letting James back in. Welcome back, James. So
the same as last night.
So yeah, it's play Maidstone or Dorking or Worthing. Really, I'm not that bothered, but I just want to avoid Torquay, because Torquay away anyway. I don't mind you coming to our place. I think we turn you over at our place, but there you go. Yaka.
I think the only team I don't know. Truro, we got beat 5-0 there, which is a mad 15 minutes, and I think they beat us 2-1 at home, but it was a bit lucky to beat us. I'm not really bothered who we play, because it is what it is, and I think we've got a chance against everybody. Truro's the only one who beat us twice. Eastbourne 2 draws, Dorking we won, draw, Torquay. I think we played you 3 times this season. I think away we lost, but we should have equalised blatantly onside instead of offside. We trashed you 5-1 in a trophy. And Boreham Wood would be twice. But you have to beat who's in front of you, and you can't pick and choose. And I think, like I alluded to earlier, I think we have some issues with injured players and suspended players. But the squad is big enough, so whoever we play, it's going to be a great day out. That's how 100%. I look at it.
100%. Brett?
Yeah, I can't say I particularly want to play anyone, or I could flip it the other side and say I don't fear anyone. So I'm not sure which way to put it, but all I know is our waveform against you guys have been dreadful with the teams in the playoff. We've only got points off, only got 1 point each of Dorking and Torquay, and that was Torquay's right at the end, and we've lost the other one. So our away record's not great, but I think if we were going to play Dorking, I'd rather play them away than at home, because our record's better there than it is at home against them. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, we kind of need to finish as high up as possible. At least try and get 1 home game, possibly 2 at some point. I wouldn't write off Maidstone. They could be a funny team. They thrashed us 4-0. A few weeks ago. So it depends what side turns up. And I know they're not going to be at home, but they always take a lot of fans away. They've got a big support, sort of as big as any of us really in that regard. But yeah, listen, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tight. I think whoever we play is going to be a challenge. But I think on our day, we can beat anyone.
Okay. And James?
So, again, I mean, I don't think any of the results or any of the head-to-heads in terms of the league and stuff is going to be too relevant. The squads have changed, teams have changed, and these are kind of almost like one-off cup matches now, aren't they, really, with the shackles off and see what happens. And obviously, they're going to go there's going to be playoff games that are going to go the distance. You know, you're going to have extra time and penalties, no doubt whatsoever, in some of these. And then if that happens in these eliminators, that's going to take a lot out of those clubs that then have to go sort of back to back with the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then playing on the Saturday and the Sunday. Like I said before, I don't really mind. I think I'd happily go away to Boreham Wood or Torquay because you've got lovely grass pitches that would suit us. And I also think, you know, Torquay, if you end up down at Playmore and it's absolutely packed, kind of who handles that? You know, does that pressure get too much almost for the home side? That sort of expectation and everything. So who knows? Really, I think it's all just that's where we're going to end up. So as everybody's already said, you just kind of play who is against you. You know, I wouldn't as we said, I wouldn't discount Maidstone at all from doing it the hard way because it'll just get them right up for that. You know, we've drawn against them 1-1, both home and away, and they're a tough side to break down. They got pace going forward, quite physical. So you just never know, do you? You just never know. Like we said last night, it could be decided by a bit of magic, or God forbid, a bit of controversy from the officials or something. Who knows? So let's see what happens. See where we are on Friday, Saturday at 5 o'clock, and who we're going to be facing like 3 days later.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question: who for your team has been your most outstanding player and why? Obviously, we'll start with you, Scott.
I guess Tyler Harvey is the one that takes a lot of the headlines. 26 league goals this season and counting, hopefully. I'd certainly appreciate a brace or more on Saturday. We'll see how that goes. But it really has been a collective effort. Jay's Cabia has been a bit of a live wire, always got a bit of a trick and plays on the shoulder and has come up with some real clutch goals. He tends to be a bit feast and famine, so he's got a couple of hat-tricks this year. I think he's only got 16 league goals, so you're looking at almost half his goals being in 2 games. I think an unsung hero would be someone like Zach Bell, who came in halfway through the season, has played down the right-hand side for us, and I don't think it's a coincidence that since he's been in, we've hit some decent form. Will Dean has been an absolute warrior for us, keeps the ball ticking over, and has latterly been playing at centre-back, which isn't his position. And a couple of the lads that have been injured and had their seasons cut short. Seydou Sonogo was looking like he was going to really come into some very decent form before he had his leg break and has basically missed the rest of the season. And then Tom Harrison at the back has had his season curtailed by a knee injury. So it really has been, I think we're very much a systems team who have maybe rely on a couple of players that bring a bit of magic every now and again. So honestly, it really is a case of, there has been no standout. Okay, Tyler takes the plaudits for the 26 goals and is obviously in the running for the Golden Boot. But John Askey's built something very special where 1 to 16 or however many we've got on the bench, they put it in every week, and I think that's something that has shone out through the season. They put up with a lot of travel. I don't think any team has particularly turned us over and given us a battering. And obviously we're kind of known for 90th minute shenanigans. So all those bits and pieces together says we're a side that have got a very good spirit, a very good team ethic about us. So it really is a collective effort from everyone at Truro, I think.
And Tom at Torquay?
It's another tough one to answer. I have to give it to Jordan Young, signed from Yeovil, I think in about November, and he's just given us that extra bite in midfield and playing just behind the strikers. A lot of the goals come through him, and he's just taken us to the next level. But it has been a team effort. I mean, we've got Cody Cook. I think he scored 17 for the season. He signed from Bath in the summer, and really rate Cook. He's been an absolute warrior for us. He's been absolutely battered in the first half of the season. had a little bit of time away due to injury, but he's come back and he's amongst the goals again. The Sam Dreyer was at Hampton and Richmond last year, signed permanently from Peterborough, and he's just been immense at the back for such a young age. I think he's only 21, but the knowledge that he's got in the back is superb, and I think highlights how good we've been defensively this season. With Dreyer has a very good game, then we don't concede it if many. So Jordan Young won the Player of the Year vote on Monday, so I give it to him. But again, it's just been a complete team effort. We don't, as I said earlier, we don't thrash teams. We don't score many goals, but it's just a collective. They're all together. They all understand what their roles and what they're doing. And there's just goals all around the team, which is good. But it's just trying to get them to do it all together. But I give it to Jordan Young. He's been absolute class, and you can tell that he's cut for the division above and maybe even further into the Football League in a couple of years. But he's really made the difference for us and has been one of the key reasons why we've pushed on, especially towards the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think at Eastbourne for me, player that's not been with us for a full season, but Ollie Kensdale at the back, he's definitely worthy of a mention. Was playing at Southend and something happened and he came to us. He's been great. Kai on the left, he's put in some outstanding performance. Cameron at the back. So I mean, I think we've been quite solid at the back. In the midfield, we've got a number of players that I could mention. I could mention the whole squad, right? Because but Odesanya's played some outstanding games, but Jack Clark has been immense. And then we've had players that have gone out on loan that have come back. Jaden Davis has been great. Yaya Bamba on his day has been okay, and he's so quick that he draws a lot of fouls and he puts a lot of defenders under pressure because he is so quick. But I think for my player of the season, I've got to give it to George Alexander. He's obviously chasing down Tyler at the top of the goal scoring charts there, and he won't catch him now, I don't think. But he's probably suffered 6-8 weeks of injury throughout this season, and to get that close to Tyler, with missing that amount of time, and it's worth looking at his assists as well, because your number 9, you want him to be greedy, you want him to score your hat full of goals, right? But he provides so many goals around the team as well. He does so much work off the ball. If ever you get a chance to watch an Eastbourne game and you're watching it independently, you've not got your team involved, just watch what he does off the ball, because he's a great player, and so he would be my player of the season for. And it would surprise me. It would surprise me if he doesn't win the awards or the award, or we've got 2 awards, but if he doesn't win at least one of them on Saturday. Yako.
I think if you ask the majority of the Worthing fans, the majority will say Danny Cashman. He's a talented player. I think he's the most talented player in the National League South when you see him running with the ball. He's a great player. Would I pick him as player of the season? No, I don't. I think Joel Colbrand, our captain, 300 appearances for us, always there. I think he's been very good. But for me, the outstanding player this season is Nicky Wheeler. He's magic. He's 34 years young and he plays like he's 20. When he's on the pitch, there's always something happening. He gets the ball, it's either a corner or he gets a shot at goal away. He is just amazing. And I think when he decides to hang up his boots, I think but also non-league, lose a great player. He's an absolute player and a gentleman as well.
And Brett?
Yeah, I think from Bournemouth point of view, Kwesi Appiah, I said it forward, he was sitting in the stand for the first month of the season. The old manager didn't fancy him, and he's now injured and possibly out for the rest of the season. But I think for that, he'd have been nailed on for the Golden Boot in the league. He was running away with it. I think he's got 24 goals now. That's been overtaken. He won't obviously score anymore by the sounds of it. So yeah, he's been our best player. Again, he's 34. Aside from that, we've got obviously good side, sort of in at the back, sort of Femi Elasamni left back, also 34. We got Tom Whelan midfield, has been very good, and yeah, done a great job. And I think what we've also had this year, we've had a few players come in that have made a difference. Some of our sort of signings that we made sort of during the season, Matt Rush up front has pretty much taken over from Appiah by sort of banging in the goals. We've got sort of John Benton midfield that we signed. Him and Rush both came from. They were both on loan at Maidstone, so I do put one over on them. So yeah, it's a team effort. I think we're pretty good now. We've had a few players out injured. A lot of people have come back. They're pretty fresh now. I don't think anyone can claim to be knackered because they've played, loads of games or whatever. So we've got, a good squad, and we've got a lot of people, and we've got good people to bring on as well. So I'm confident.
And James, finally.
I think so. Like everyone said, really, it's been a lot of it's been a team effort. We've got obviously Alfie Rutherford's got 20 goals, which has been massive for him coming back from his knee injury and his heart operation. No penalties in that either. He's one of them centre forwards. He's not interested in penalties at all. He doesn't take penalties. Probably got quite a few assists in that. Charlie Carter as well as a midfielder, like Cashman. He's got 14. He's got 2 hat-tricks. He's had stuff going on off the pitch as well, which has caused him to miss a few games. And so he's been really good this season. I'd say as well, Harrison Folkes in goal, because he had quite big boots/gloves to fill coming in, because obviously for the last 2 seasons when we were in the National League, our goalkeepers won Player of the Season 2 years running. So Dan Lincoln won it the first time round, and then Harrison Mayle won it the second time round. So they were the busiest players that we had those 2 years. But I don't think Harrison's going to win it this time, but he's been good. He's got much better. Brett, you probably remember that last minute save he made against you guys.
Incredible,
last kick. He's been really good. It coincided with almost bringing in Magnus Norman as sort of like a backup. I think Harrison was possibly one bad game away from not playing again. And then his performances since then have been really good. And obviously, he was at Eastbourne prior to this, Barry, wasn't he? Not for very long, but so he's been good. But my player of the season is Jimmy Mewett, right winger. He's had a really good season, flying quaver. He gets up and down that wing on that right wing back position. He doesn't neglect his defensive duties, but he's very happy in those one-on-one situations against a fullback or when a ball sort of dropped over. His delivery's got better from crossing positions. He's got quite a few goals this season as well. And touch wood, he's been almost ever present, really, other than just sort of gassing a little bit towards the end some of the games, but not any kind of major injuries for him. And he's who I voted for my player of the season.
Okay. So moving on to the last question for the night now. And what team in the top 6 has surprised you the most in this season, obviously? Starting with you, Scott.
Well, I probably won't surprise you to say Truro City have surprised me the most. What were we? 250 to 1, 300 to 1 at the start of the season. I remember trying to find someone to take a bet where, all I wanted to bet was that we'd stay up. I couldn't find the bookies to take that bet. I think obviously Eastbourne are a pleasant surprise as well, particularly after the sort of finishing positions that we finished in last year. I mean, outside of the top 6, because there's good surprises and bad surprises, right? I think Chelmsford will be pretty disappointed that they haven't got an opportunity to screw up the playoffs like they usually do. So they've underperformed, and obviously I think they will have a very good healthy budget going forwards next year. So it gets to how competitive this league is. You've got 6 teams here, whether they're big teams, well-backed teams, ambitious teams. But then beneath that, you've got Maidstone, who obviously went and beat Ipswich last year. You've got Western, who are an ambitious team. You've got a couple of particularly big teams coming down from the National League, it looks like. So, to bring this full circle, this is why Saturday's so important, right? Because we've got a log jam here where 2 teams are trying to get up from this league. You know, and there's probably 7, 8, 9, 10 teams going into next season, whoever those teams are, that, you know, think that they deserve to go up next season, if not this season. So, you know, this is where Saturday is so interesting and it becomes so crucial, because I'm not sure as a Truro fan whether you know, we're going to get this opportunity again straight away. So that's where a lot of the pressure comes from. But yeah, ultimately, if you told me on the opening day of the season that we'd be where we are right now, I would have thought that you were mad. I'll tell you what, I wish I'd had a tenner on us at 300 to 1. That's for sure.
I was just going to ask, did you have anything on?
No, and it's unforgivable, really, isn't it?
I did. I must admit, I had quite a healthy bet on Eastbourne at 20. So, yeah. Anyway, Tom.
I have to agree with Scott. It has to be Truro City. I had them down as relegation candidates this season. I mean, John Askey's done a fantastic job. He's such a well-regarded manager, and I think Truro have done really well to get him to come down to that part of the country. And I think it's just this title battle, especially for the southwest of the country, it's fantastic, and it's all eyes on the southwest. There's some great talent down in this part of the world, and I think, you know, if we can both go up this season, that's even better for Devon and Cornwall. But no, Truro City, I mean, you just have to respect, you know, the hardships that they've gone through in the last couple of years, having to play in Gloucester and Plymouth Parkway and being away from home. I know their ground's, you know, still a work in progress. And I mean that respectfully, Scott. But you know, they're building something special down there. And you know, if we lose out to Truro on Saturday for title, then fair play. And you know, I just think what they're doing down there is, you know, it's well overdue that they're back home, and it can only be good for Cornwall and football in general down in the southwest. But again, you look around us lot, I mean, I think that you could say something good for all of us, to be fair. Eastbourne with their unbeaten home record, I think that's fantastic. You know, Dorking, just seeing them grow and grow. I mean, I've got huge respect for Mark White. I've been lucky enough to have him on the podcast a couple of times and having chats over WhatsApp. And you know, Boreham Wood, you know, a great club with, you know, a fantastic pitch. And, you know, it's a surprise to see them at this level again, but they're always going to be up there. So, and, you know, Worthing, I mean, I live 15 minutes down the road from Worthing. I mean, fantastic football club, another club that's growing, and, you know, their stadium development as well this season. It's a great place to watch football. You know, it's I hope I haven't left anyone out there. No, that's good.
You've done it again, Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just love non-league football.
I love it.
No, but and then that's like, again, people will think because we're Torquay United, a big club with a big following, we should be up there. But again, like I said, you know, to be just in this conversation after the year we've had is, you know, fantastic. And again, I think the real winner, you know, I think Truro is the story this season. If they do it, it has to be. And I'll have no quarrel if they do win it. Obviously, I'd love to pip them on the last day. See how the nerves are, but no, they're we were well looked after on Good Friday. Got absolutely drenched, mind you. Put a roof on the terrace, please, for next time. But no, fantastic community, fantastic clubs, and yeah, Truro's my story this season.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to agree with you, Tom. Truro for me, what they went through last year was. Yeah, was hard. You know, not having a home. I mean, we've been lucky at Eastbourne. You know, our ground's well protected, and like I say, we was a charity, so it's always been a protected ground. And I couldn't think of having a football team without a home. But I think what you've done this year down there, Scott, has been nothing short of amazing. I looked at Truro thinking, when you went on that run of, like, you know, 10, 12 games, however many it was that you won, and or that you hadn't dropped points, you know, I kept thinking, oh, they get beat in a minute, and you didn't. And it was like, you know, you were the ones that I thought would drop out the title race. I expected Worthing to be there. I expected Dorking to be up there. Boreham Wood, obviously, coming down. Torquay, I knew you'd been taken over by owners, and I knew that obviously they were going to put everything into it. So, yeah, Truro. But one thing I'm going to say about all you clubs, I didn't come down to Torquay, but obviously I was at the game at home against Torquay. But every other ground, I've been to your grounds this year, and I'm going to single out Truro here, but I think we've all got them, and I've said this before. Your young fans at Truro, Scott, are nothing short of amazing. The noise they make, some of them boys are like 15, 16, 17. They have a bit of banter with you. We stood in the middle of them because it was like, you're going to go and stand up the other end. No, we're not. We're going to stand right in the middle of you. And we had a bit of banter with them. It was great fun. And I shook all of their hands at the end of the game. And I said, listen, carry on supporting this club because non-league football needs fans like that. And I think we've all got them. Yako, you've got them at Worthing. And I was interviewing someone. I was doing a bit of a fan cam on Friday. And the kid that threw the pyro on the pitch got singled out already by the old Bill. And apparently, they'd said to him, look, you're getting banned. And there was young kids outside that would get in there because he was getting banned. And it's like, you sort of sit there and you think to yourself, we had 3,622 people at our ground. And it was a great day. There was 22 people, I reckon, spoiling for a fight, and 3,600 wanted to watch a decent game of football and wanted a bit of, a game against, excuse me, a game against local rivals, and it was that. And I definitely think that the young fans we've all got, like I say, Truro are my story of the season, really, and I think you'll win it, and I think that makes the story even better. But yeah, your young fans are amazing. You need to keep hold of them because that's what keeps the clubs going in years to come. That's what gets followings like, Torquay with their long history, So yeah, that's it for me. Sorry to go on a bit. Yako.
I think I'll go the other way. I think, the non-surprise for me are Bournemouth and Dorking. I expected them to be there. Both good clubs, good footballing teams. I think us are a little bit surprised, I think, to be there because of, everything that happened to everybody who left. Torquay, yes, we were there 10 years ago where the club almost went under till George stepped up and he said, I'll buy a football club. He saved the club and, and it was St. George's Day the other day, for us. It was amazing. But I think the surprise for me is really Eastbourne and Truro, based purely on last season. And, Truro, didn't help you had to travel so far, and travelling is tiring. And, when you have to travel so far away from your home games, for the players and for the supporters, it's not right. It makes it more difficult. So for me, Truro top and Eastbourne as well, because last year you were almost to go down and not be disrespectful. The previous 2 seasons, Eastbourne were quite easy games for us to win, but not anymore. So, I think it's Eastbourne, but especially Truro, it's a surprise for the season for me. But, well done.
Brett.
Yeah, I've got to say, at the start of the season, I expected us to be in the playoffs. I expected Torquay, Worthing, Dorking and Maidstone to be in it, or thereabouts. But I certainly didn't expect Eastbourne and Truro to. Eastbourne to be unbeaten at home, having nearly gone down last year, is incredible. But yeah, I think the story of the season. I think the story of the season is Truro. After everything they went through, the fact that they were rank outsiders, but I think they had 2 massive boosts in the summer. They obviously moved home, as it were, and they got John Askey as manager. Obviously, high quality. I don't know how they got him, but great effort. Obviously, likes the Southwest, or maybe likes the beaches. I don't know, but
Always
I think they've done that. Yeah, I think they've been unbelievable. They beat us, comfortably. Their place, but yeah, I think they're a very good side. They play the right way, and well done to them. I hope, in some respects, I'll be very pleased for them if they do it.
And finally, James.
Yeah, Sound like a broken record, but yeah, Truro. But as everybody's already said, really, I think there's so much to be said about all of the teams, really, and everybody's overcome some form of adversity, either this season or in the last few years as well. And obviously, Truro's with their moving back home, and like it was a privilege, really, to be the first club that played there on that opening day. We were there. I went down with my wife and daughters for the weekend, and we had a lovely weekend down there, and everyone was so welcoming and so friendly. Fantastic pitch, playing surface, a high quality manager that could easily be managing a team in the Football League, and a kind of quite a, like I think you sort of said it, Scott, really quite a pragmatic approach, really, in terms of the way he's got the team playing, in terms of that, a little bit like he had when he had the York side. Very, very much everybody kind of knew their roles, and they were very much sort of like a 1-0 sort of team or something like that, rather than a team in the style of somebody like Hinch, who's there now, and the attacking flair and everything that they've got. And it shows that managers can change things, doesn't it, and change the way to sort of suit their style and everything, and impress that upon players. But yeah, Truro, obviously, Tom, you know, with everything that's gone on at Torquay, you know, you nearly didn't have a club, and now you do, and you're packing it out every week, and that's massively important to you and everybody that's associated with Torquay. I came down this season, or I came down a couple of years ago for the game that finished 3-3, and the facilities down there are really nice, and everybody's really friendly and stuff. And same at Eastbourne, you know, and same at Worthing. Clubs that we've kind of gone toe to toe with over the last few seasons, and quite. I spoke to Adam Murray after the FA Trophy game, Barry, and he's a lovely fellow. And some of the people that I met down at Worthing on Monday, Yako, were really friendly. All the volunteers, and spoke to a couple of the players actually. I spoke to Adoy, the midfielder that you mentioned last night. He came and spoke to me. He just came and spoke to me for ages before the game. Lovely guy. And then as I was walking out, your other goalkeeper, Chris Hay, said, "Oh, I love your interviews that you do with your manager, mate. Really funny." And that was completely unprompted. So that was nice. And all the guys at Boreham Wood as well, Brett. Your young media lad, Dom, is it?
Dom, lovely
really
fellow,
nice lad. And all the people that have always been, and I've shaken hands with Luke Garrard a few times at games and wished him all the best and stuff. So it's just been it's for me as a fan, and being in the position I'm in, I never take it for granted, because I'm quite privileged really to be able to do those interviews and get on the pitch and stand around when there's people there, and people from various different organisations and everything, and meet people and stuff like that. But Truro, yeah, and 5 o'clock on Saturday when you've won the league, I wish you all the best, because as Brett will know, and Barry as well, the National League is tough. It's really tough, and you're going to put some mileage on your car, that's for sure.
I remember
rack up the air miles. When we went to Truro, I could not believe how far it was. We just kept going and going and going and going.
But being in the National League is a great journey. You know, being in the National League is a great journey. We went up 10 years ago thinking it would be like a 1 or 2 season stopover, and it ended up being 9 years. And it was like going all these grounds, so especially in the first year, it's just incredible. You know, it's a great experience. You're going up to Hartlepool or whatever on a Tuesday night, sort of Barrow, obviously at the time. We went there on a Tuesday night, and just these places are just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I remember from our time in the National League. I can't remember if it was our first away game or if it was our first away game or if it was one of the first. We played Wrexham away, and it was when Dean Saunders was manager, and he had all the players from Liverpool. And I turned up. I actually went up there and stayed for a couple of days. So I've sort of walked into the ground, and I've gone in, and I'm opposite where the benches are, and I've seen like 40 or 50 blokes in tracksuits behind the dugout, and I thought. And I was chatting to one of the Wrexham fans. I said, what are they, like big ball boys or something? He went, no, that's a squad, mate. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, we got 16 players. You know, Gary Wilson was nearly naming himself on the bench, and you're up against that. So listen, but I will say this: we was in it for 3 years. We were never a National League side. You know, we come up from the County League, and we kept our squad together. That was the thing. Our players were County League players, but we drew 1 or 2 players in. But the nucleus had literally been playing at sort of, you know, 5 or 6 steps lower. And they stayed with us right up until the National League. And I think, you know, we had the 3rd longest serving manager in the country at the time, Gary Wilson, and he was behind Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. I mean, what sort of company are you keeping? But it was a journey, and whoever gets there, whichever one of us gets there, is going to enjoy that journey, right? Because 2 of us are going to get there, unless Maidstone, I didn't invite. Maidstone, I didn't invite them.
Yes, thanks, Barry.
We'll have you lot.
I
wanted the 6. I was going to invite Maidstone, but I wanted the 6 that could win the league. So, you know, but yeah, 2 of us are going to get up there, right? And whoever you are, you know, if it's us, great. If it's, you know, whoever, just enjoy your time up there, because you are going to, like Jack said, you're going to be putting some miles on them clocks. You know, Oldham,
it's just
Rochdale Gates.
When you get those fans come to your ground and everything as well, and pack it out, and you know, and for some clubs that makes a massive difference. You know, you would have seen that this season, Tom, at Plainmoor. You know, that little away section that you get, and a handful of people up there sometimes, because they just don't travel in big numbers. Some of the clubs, and then other times you sell out that stand behind the goal, and things like that. Yeah, you know, where it's never been open when we've been there.
No, the new ownership, they've kind of opened the away terrace, as it were, for community days, trying to get the community in, try and get all 4 sides of Plainmoor full. Again, the work they've done is fantastic, and yeah, I do miss it. Having, you know, bigger teams coming down to Plainmoor. Yes, we are somewhat the big fish in this division, but again, I think the advantage that Truro and us would have, if it were to be us 2 going up, is travel for us is nothing. Like, especially from, you know, key perspective. I mean, when we were in the Football League and the National League, you know, we were traveling, even this division in the south, traveling across to, say, Eastbourne, or traveling across to Chelmsford or Hemel Hempstead, St Albans. That's a blooming long way. And I think if both of us were to go up, I don't think that would be too much of a problem, quite personally. But for me, like I say, it's just enjoy the ride. Everyone, like, all eyes are on the National League South this weekend. Everyone's talking about it, and I think it's a privilege just to be involved in, you know, a title race for the ages. And may the best team win. Hopefully us, but.
I love it.
I've got to be like that once in this podcast, I suppose. But
I mean, on that note, are we having 5 minutes and then coming back to record the Cornish language version of this podcast?
Yeah, we'll leave you 2 in the room. Yeah, we'll leave you 2 in the room for that.
Yeah. It's been that kind of season though. Like, the team who's been top of the table hasn't stayed there for very long. That's why I'm not too bothered that we're not going into the final day on top.
It's what I said earlier. You know, the team that wins it is going to win it, but they're going to win it by default, right? Because there's been so many other teams that have been there. I mean, you know, Boreham Wood, when you signed them players in January, I thought you were running away with it then, and all of a sudden, we
looked like we were going to,
yeah,
see, at that point, but then just went to pot, and then But what I think we'll find on Saturday is, after about 15 minutes, all I know, after 15 minutes, we'll be top. You know, 50 minutes in a game, or someone else will, or whatever. But it's going to change during the game. It won't be as straightforward.
I reckon it might change 20 times on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it usually changes
half time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We should do this podcast again at half time. I think we'll be.
Can you imagine?
I won't have any fingernails left at half time, right? especially if results against you 2 are going the wrong way for you.
The first goal is going to be key, especially in our games at Truro and Hemel Hempstead. I think whoever scores first, whether it be Hemel, us, or Truro or St Albans, it will go a long way, I think.
Someone will do that, start a false rumour in the crowd.
Yeah.
You can't really do that anymore because everyone's got smartphones. You know what I mean?
Like the old day, listening on the radio.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for coming on again for some of you tonight. and same place again tomorrow. Yeah. No, seriously.
So good we had to do it twice, Barry.
Yeah, exactly that. No, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Like I say, anybody that's out there, follow these guys on their socials and on their podcasts, because we don't get anything for doing this. We're doing it for a bit of fun. You know, we love our football clubs. We're very passionate about our football clubs, and we just want more people to come and see that, you know, see what we can offer in non-league. And you know, you look at any of the top leagues, any of the leagues above us, there's not a title race like this anywhere. And
there's one league left. I think it's the Isthmian Premier League.
Yeah,
it's three. Yeah, but there's only three there.
We've got
teams. Okay, fair enough.
Dartford, and
6.
Yeah.
But they're all on the same points. You're right, but that's a lower league than us. And what I'm saying is non-league football is the place to be. You know, you're not involved in these higher leagues where teams have just won it easy, or not easy, but a lot of the titles will be decided with 3 or 4 games to go. You know, we're going into a final day of the season with 6 of us that could all grab that trophy, and it's just unheard of. It will never happen again.
Non-league's so good, none of us want to get promoted. That's the way it's been this season.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take it. If no one else wants it, we'll have it.
Yeah,
I tell you who I feel sorry for.
I'll put it on that one. Yeah.
I tell you who I feel sorry for. It's where they're going to put the helicopter in the trophy. Where on earth do you Where on earth do you base that?
We said that last night, didn't we? Yeah.
I don't think they will. I mean, how could they?
Have they got replicas or something of it?
Yeah, replicas. Yeah, lift it up and it falls apart.
I would say they must have some replica. They must have done something, surely. But then at the end of the day, we know that the National League themselves are not that bothered about the South and the North, so they might have actually done nothing. We might have just got a board somewhere that says, you know, you've won the league. Congratulations.
We did it. We did it.
The winners will get it at town hall or something.
A little cardboard cup that we could all hold up, you know, a little blow up one or something like that.
Tinfoil, like the FA Cup.
Yeah. A little blow up one sent off of Amazon. Yeah, something like that. So, anyway, thanks again, guys, for being on tonight. Appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday. Maybe not so much luck for you, Scott and Tom, but no, in all seriousness, whoever wins it, congratulations. Whoever goes up in the playoffs, congratulations again. And if you guys are up for it, maybe we can do some of these in between, you know, the playoffs. And Scott, maybe you can host it if you win it, and then we can just concentrate on who we've got to play, because I've actually said it to the players. I've seen you too much this season. I only want to see you one more time, right? Yeah,
that's a deal. If we win it, yeah, that's a deal.
Okay, okay, right. So thanks again, guys, for being on, and good luck on the weekend, and see you soon.
See you later. Good luck.
Cheers, Barry. See you later.